right? Like, what is the impact it's going to make to your business to go and remove TeamViewer from everywhere? If this is the primary tool that you're using to access your clients.
So speaking of questions we want to ask, there's a big question in the MSP community. I don't know if it's the same question everybody has. My question is, why the hell are you using TeamViewer? Matt's question may be, what are what can we do to protect ourselves, or how should we be communicating? To answer some of those questions and more, we have brought on a very special guest, Mr. Chris Henderson, the Senior Director of Threat Operations at Huntress. Dude, you're getting ConnectWise level titles at this point. One day you're going to be a 12th name title like Jeff Bishop. How you doing, dude?
Doing well. Yourself? Thanks for having me.
Good. Thanks. I see your platinum plaque in the back. I have mine over here in the corner too. I love it.
Yep.
So we'll jump right to it. TeamViewer, you guys have, I don't think I'm underestimating, hundreds of thousands of endpoints that you guys are covering. Absolutely. Between the MSPs and their clients and corporate. So you have visibility even to clients that maybe you're using TeamViewer, or, when this stuff comes up, this is why your input is so valuable, because you guys are seeing this at a macro scale. So to dial it back for anybody that may not have seen this up to now, first of all, you're welcome, because this is nonsense. It's crazy. Chris, can you briefly describe what is it that TeamViewer announced is going on, and as of your understanding, so we can qualify.
Yeah. So for anybody who hasn't seen the news, so TeamViewer, they announced they had a security incident on the 26th. They had a credential used to their corporate environment by one of their employees. According to their latest post, this was a non-admin employee, right? And so from what we know, or rather been told, largely have to, take their word at it, which there's no reason not to. But so non-admin account to corporate environment, no access to the production environment. And so, largely this is going to be a test of how good are the role-based access controls over at TeamViewer, and, do they have proper segmentation of their employees from their corporate IT environments over to production? But yeah, no, right now there's not we're not seeing mass exploitation against the TeamViewer clients or anything. And largely, I look at this as a good fire drill for everybody, right? Like, this could have been something significant. It's not seeing so yet, but it's a really good shot to understand how quickly can you assess in your own environments. Like, are you running TeamViewer? Do you have your inventory set up in place of how much time is it going to take you to go and assess, where's TeamViewer running in my environment, my clients' environments? But also using this as a nice reminder of go and assess all of the remote access tools you do have in your environments, and kick out any of the ones that your employees have installed or your clients' employees have installed that are not yours, right? Like TeamViewer, lots of people use it to set up sort of shadow IT access to their own machines from home. And so, we saw this all the time where it's people setting up this backdoor access because it's, I want to make it easier for me. And so I want to access my, my work computer. And so I think it's a good shot right now, just while we're waiting for more information. Go run those inventories, see, where is this installed, and really check, do you need it there, and remove it if not. And then, we're largely in a waiting game right now.
So let me ask you questions. When I was at the Miami Police Department, working on one there, we had very specific rules as to what we could and could not say, or what we could and could not say of for any kind of incident that was going on. One of the whether it was descriptions of offenders or suspects, or whether it was descriptions of incidents or relaying sensitive information. So yay HIPAA, I've been laughing at CPNI for 30 years. So the reason I bring that up is because in the police department, one of the going back to descriptions of suspects, unless they've confirmed, you can confirm somebody has a weapon, you can never say they don't have a weapon. That is the rules for when you're giving a descriptor of a suspect. You will never say they are not armed. Because that creates a possibility of safety that you have no qualification for. You don't know. So in that light, one of the first things that raised a red flag for me with the TeamViewer incident is that they said very specifically this was in their corporate network, did not affect any of the other tools, any of the other packages, anything, any of the content delivery, any of that. So early on, they just announced this 2 days ago, to make such a, this is reminiscent of Steve Ballmer saying Windows XP is the most secure operating system ever when it hasn't been tested yet. How can you say that? That to me, I wouldn't treat it any differently than if they had confirmed something had affected their systems publicly. I would still treat it as it's an infected being. I have to remove it from my systems. Am I over exaggerating the response here? I mean, what do you
think it depends how critical is it to your business operations, right? Like, what is the impact it's going to make to your business to go and remove TeamViewer from everywhere? If this is the primary tool that you're using to access your clients, sort of neutering your own ability to deliver service in response to this, right? That's a risk-based decision that you're going to have to make. But when you look at, the statement that they made, you're right. The absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, is what we like to say. And so, presumably, if they're making these statements, they have adequate logging controls that they should be able to say, no, we do have logs that would show if they had accessed those environments, and perhaps those logs are empty. But they also could just be making that statement based upon their understanding of RBAC that they have placed within their own environments, where, oh, well, we know that this person doesn't have access, therefore there's no risk. If that's what they're basing this off of, that's definitely jumping the gun before they've done their full investigation.
And
well, my first thought is,
real quick, Matt, if you don't mind. That's funny because that goes back to the communication thing you and I were talking about before Chris came on. If they would have said, we do not believe it has breached any of our other systems or crossed into any of our other systems, not use the B word, based on our pre-existing security controls, or based on, I get they're not going to be super transparent about architecture, but we have thought about this and already addressed this, and that's why we're making the statement. I think that would come across a lot more. I would take that with a lot more value and with a lot more credence. Matt, I'm sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, you're totally good. I take them at their word that they don't have any evidence that the threat actor directly address or access their production network. But I start jumping to, is there anything on the corporate network like source repositories or secret storage or something like that that can later be used to pivot into the production network, right? That's my bigger concern than, yes, okay, you're telling me what you think I want to hear because there's no direct access to prod from here, but I might be able to get in later.
Yeah, understanding like what systems were impacted, given the brevity of the response, my initial assumption that it was like a SaaS app, some SaaS app credential got popped, right? And it's and their understanding is that it's not corporate, or it's not tied to production, just due to whatever access they found. But yeah, without further details as to what exactly was accessed, it's really hard to run that risk assessment as an individual or a consumer of the product to know, what latent risk still exists, even though you've done containment and remediation. There's still, potential for further on action, or if they grab additional credentials.
Right.
Matt, asking you've been closest to being an actual MSP of the three of us. You probably beat me by a few minutes.
Most recently, at least.
Most recently. But having been in the MSP seat and definitely having had the security role, you see something like this, weighing the risk versus reward that Chris is talking about. Am I severing my only remote access? How painful is that going to be? Do I have another option? Put your MSP hat on. Where would you land on that risk reward? Like, what would be your response? MSP Matt, not working for any other vendor Matt.
Yeah, fair. At MSP Matt, if TeamViewer was my remote access tool of choice and this came down based on what we know so far, I don't think I would pull it yet. It would be too disruptive to my ability to deliver service to be able to make that call. Now, that does mean we have to keep a much, much closer eye on it. And to Chris's point before, going through the asset list and software inventory, and if I have users out there backdooring into their own systems, they're getting a nice conversation, and stop doing that. For my own use, though, I would not be pulling TeamViewer at this point. I'd be waiting to hear that there was something more nefarious going on, or that there was evidence that something happened beyond just a corporate network access. We kind of have to take them at their word for now with the eyebrow raised.
Yeah, but I think looking and ensuring you don't have additional admins created. What are all of the signs that you would see from your administrative pane of TeamViewer? Looking at, do you have proper monitoring on the systems? Do you also have TeamViewer on? Right? Do you have an EDR, or are you sending those logs to a SIM? And do you have the ability to sort of heighten the observation you have around those systems, just in preparation for if this does turn worse? But also, do you have the ability to, or have you staged the ability to quickly update those if needed as well?
So I imagine, you guys are always monitoring stuff like this. You guys, when it's a very big incident, you guys will generally start posting blogs and track it. And we've always pin it on our MSP. So there's already threads on this as we're discussing.
Yep.
As in terms of the Huntress clients, those MSPs servicing those hundreds of thousands of endpoints, is Huntress giving any advisement now, official advisement on what to watch, how to proceed, that kind of thing?
We're in a similar place as to what Matt was saying, right? We've gone through, we have the checks on our back end to see who has this installed, if we need to very quickly pivot and start sending alerts out to our customers if they have vulnerable versions. And so we are staged if we need to stand up a rapid response and go into the community engagement the way that we have in the past. We're certainly ready. It's just we haven't seen something that warrants that at this point yet.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Chris, I want to be respectful of your time. Matt, same as well. We're going to cut a little early because we have bits and books coming on after this. So we want to give you a little breathing room if any of the MSPs are going to stay and watch that. Chris, we'll put your contact information in the show notes below if anybody wants to follow you or Huntress on LinkedIn, Reddit, everywhere else you guys are at. Cool. V Huntress on MSP Geek. Is there anything you guys are doing or anything you're doing personally coming up you may want to promote?
What are we doing? We just finished up a big webinar yesterday for the 2024 Cyber Threat Report. Go check the recording of that out if you haven't seen it. It really goes into detail around what we've seen from a threat actor standpoint, which ransomware families are still winning, all within the SMB and healthcare and manufacturing focus.
If you found this story eye-opening, catch a full episode of MSP Dispatch every Tuesday and Friday. Share your thoughts below and remember to hit subscribe. See you next time.
This has been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.